Good morning on this Wednesday morning, May 18th. I lift my cup of coffee to you and to the Houston Astros. Woo! Woo! All right. Anthony Del Toro, you're the first in. Good morning, Anthony. 4 people in here, but I only see Anthony. 4 people, now up to 5. 5 people jumped right in. Woo! Anthony Del Toro, Astros, yes, sir. 13 out of 15 now for the Astros. I think just about a game behind the Yankees for the second best record in the American League. Therefore, Major League Baseball. Let me check my Major League Baseball standings. Yeah, they got to keep it going. So Yankees 27-9. No, okay. Astros 24-13. 3 games behind the Yankees. But Astros with the win last night move into first place in the AL West again. And they do have the second best record in the American League. And at 649, it was the Dodgers. They're just a half a game behind the Dodgers. Dodgers at 24-12. So Astros third best record in all of baseball, therefore. Tracy Bogert, welcome in. Steve Duraco, the original Rock, the original Italian Stallion. You can refer to him as Classic Rock. Yeah, Anthony, I'm with you on that Spurs pick. Didn't love that. Ooh, thank you. I remembered that the last 2 days, but thank you for the reminder. And again, when Paul's here Friday and Monday, I guess you're going to have to come in here and set him up on that. So I know that's all kinds of fun. All right. Tracy Bogert. Tracy says, I listen to Fox Sports on the radio. A good choice. That means you're not listening to the evildoers across town. And their sports news broadcast earlier, they mentioned the Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers. Nothing about the Astros. Exactly. Those rat bastards at Fox Sports Radio. Steve Duraco, probably same bat time, same bat channel. 2:00 this afternoon. 9:20 and 25, Tracy. Thank you for that. Here we come. Hector Gomez, good morning. Thank you for the email, Hector, on the Kardashian curse.
Now, Chris Duel.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sports on this Wednesday, May 18th. Spurs stuck at the number 9 slot last night in the NBA draft lottery. We were hoping they'd go higher, but they got 3 first-round draft picks. Tracy Bogert on the live video feed reminding us the Spurs have number 9, number 20, and number 25 in the first round of the NBA draft, which will take place on June 23rd. Speaking of the NBA, last night, the Miami Heat all over the Boston Celtics. Miami outscores Boston 39-14 in the third quarter, en route to a 118-107 win over the Boston Celtics. Jeremy Kolok picked the Heat in 7 in that series. Shannon and I picked the Celtics in 6. We'll see. Still a ways to go, but Celtics did not do themselves any favors last night in game 1 in Miami. Lots to talk about. Big night for the Houston Astros at Fenway Park in Boston. We'll get into that as well. Astros have won 13 of their last 15 games. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty Sweeney. Shannon, you and I picked the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Jeremy Kolok, very bullish on the Miami Heat, and one game in, he's looking like Nostradamus on that series.
Yeah, I feel okay about you and I's pick of Celtics in 6. You know, Celtics, to me, when I watched that first half, I was worried about them to begin with after hearing Al Horford as well as Marcus Smart out for that game last night. You know, they are some big-time players and key role players for that team, especially Al Horford defensively. And the Celtics looked good in the first half, but the Heat really started to come on there to close out that first half, and come the third quarter, they outscored the Celtics 39-14, and there was no looking back at that point for the Miami Heat. So getting the win on their own floor under those circumstances, you know, I can be okay with giving them that one, but I still like our pick of Boston in 6.
Yeah, there's an old adage in the playoffs and in the NBA playoffs that the series doesn't really begin until one team wins on the opponent's home floor. So the Miami Heat held serve, but Jeremy Kolok, again, kudos to you. So far, so good in your prediction that the Miami Heat will win this series. How'd you feel about the game last night?
I felt tremendous. I saw a smothering Heat defense, and I saw Jason Tatum record 7 turnovers for the first time in the entire postseason. But a lot of series to go. We know that.
Yeah,
we're not naive over here.
Nope, not at all. And of course, tonight, Shannon's Dallas Mavericks will be in action. Game number 1 tonight between the Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. Shannon, how you feeling about that game 1? Again, I mean, if the Mavericks could, obviously Golden State's favored. We'll check the line here in a few moments. But if you can steal that game 1, I'll never forget, you know, when a number 8 seed Memphis Grizzlies beat the Spurs, you know, in a series, and the Spurs were the number 1 seed in all the NBA that year. You get game 1 or game 2, and certainly you get game number 1 tonight if you're the Dallas Mavericks, and that's a whole different series. If you punch them in the mouth and take 1 away from them on their home floor, you put a lot of, not only do you steal home court advantage, take a 1-0 lead, but you put, I think, a lot of fear in the Golden State Warriors if you can manage that tonight.
I've just kind of got the feeling at this point of I'm just happy to be here. You know, I thought we'd be ousted by the Suns, and look where we are. So with that, you know, I believe that they will put on a show. I'm hoping that they don't get smacked in the mouth, but looking right now, that line -5, which feels like a lot for a playoff game, but we've seen plenty of playoff games that have been exceptionally close, and then those that were nowhere near it. So as long as they look strong on this away court, you just said it, you know, playoffs don't start until someone wins an away game. Why not have it be the Dallas Mavericks tonight at Golden State?
And of course, exactly. Ooh, there it is. There's Jim Mora. Very nice with the playoffs drop from Jeremy Kolok. So last night, Shannon and Jeremy, Spurs fans were hoping for some lottery magic. I'm sure non-Spurs fans would say the Spurs have had plenty of it over the years because the lottery helped them get David Robinson, who was there last night, and Tim Duncan, ushering in what would be, you know, the Spurs dynasty. But we now know the 2022 draft lottery results. Spurs fans, Spurs land where they were expected to land at number 9. No magic boosting them up higher in the pecking order. But Shannon, you said yesterday you're in Houston this week, and Rockets fans were abuzz over the Rockets' chances in this NBA draft lottery. Didn't go the Rockets' way. They're number 3 in the final results of the draft lottery. The Orlando Magic at number 1, Oklahoma City Thunder number 2, then the Rockets, and rounding out the top 5, Sacramento Kings at 4, Detroit Pistons at 5. The city of Houston, I know the Astros had a big night last night, and we'll talk about it, Shannon, but do you think the city is a bit down wanting to get that number 1 overall pick in the draft, and they didn't get it?
It'll be interesting to see reaction today. The news that I watched took place prior to the lottery, but there much discussion about the lottery and their hefty percentage, 14%, which was leading in the chances of getting that number one overall pick. So I think with this year's draft, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. There's a couple of players that stand out, right? They had the top three. Or thought of top three guys there at the lottery. Kind of one guy that you automatically think, yes, automatic contributor, automatic superstar, future all-star, and could really just change a team from worst to first pretty quickly. So I think for them, getting a top three is still a win.
Yeah, Don Harris, our good friend from News 4 San Antonio, and in fact, we may even have him on the show again tomorrow. He's got a window on Wednesday mornings as he drives to his highfalutin television show tapings that air over the weekend. Don Harris, Shannon, when we learned that the Spurs got the number 9 pick, and that's where they would land in this draft lottery for their first of 3 first-round draft picks, the other 2 being number 20 and 25. But Don Harris tweeted last night, if you are an optimist, all these guys were number 9 picks, a couple of Hall of Famers and some All-Stars, and he lists these players who were picked at number 9, Shannon. In 1998, Dirk Nowitzki of the Dallas Mavericks. In 1997, Tracy McGrady. In 2002, Amari Stoudemire. In 2009, at pick number 9, the Toronto Raptors drafted a guy named DeMar DeRozan. And in 2011, Kemba Walker. Some pretty decent names over the years available at the 9 slot. And oh, by the way, this is the highest pick the Spurs have had in the NBA draft since they drafted some guy named Tim Duncan at number 1 in 1997. So while Spurs fans might be a little disappointed at number 9, they've never picked this high since they picked Tim Duncan, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right with that number 9 slot. The lottery is so weird, and when you consider, we just had the NFL draft and 7 rounds, and you've got guys who are to some first rounder worthy going in the second and third round and make impacts the way that you expect a first rounder to. You never know what you might find, and so 9 for the Spurs. It's also weird in the way that the lottery works and the randomness of it, and yet your percentage is better when you're crappy. I'm okay with 9 for the Spurs. I think that, unlike the Cowboys who say they do their due diligence in looking for players, when the Spurs go looking for players, I really believe that they actually do it rather than say it.
And they do a really good job. I mean, you look at Devin Vassell recently, you look at Trey Jones recently, their player personnel department, they got Tony Parker way low in the draft. They got Manu Ginobili way low in the low. I mean, by being down the pecking order late in the first round. So Jeremy Kolok, number 9 for the Spurs, plus number 20 and number 25. I know 20 and 25 don't necessarily water anybody's eyes, but it is 3 first-round draft picks. How you feeling about the Spurs? We're a little over a month away. That draft is on June 23rd. Today is May 18th. Do you think this will be a big draft and a big turnaround summer for the San Antonio Spurs?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they spend that 9th pick. And like you said, how do they round out their first round with all 3 of those picks? And obviously, I think a lot of us, including me, would have we tuned in last night with the hope that the Spurs would be a little bit higher than 9, maybe be in that top 5, top 7, but things could be a lot worse. And like you mentioned, with their track record with scouting and development, I think it's very easy to be optimistic here having a 9th pick. Like you said, Chris, it's not like the Spurs have picks this high every year. I mean, this is uncharted waters, it seems like, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and in addition to the 3 first-round draft picks for the Spurs, they've got a ton of cap space. So Shannon, we'll see if they make some moves in free agency in the offseason. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves as we're haven't even played game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, which is tonight. But as a Spurs fan, the morning after the NBA draft lottery, it's hard not to consider what some of the possibilities may be. We will, before the show is over, Shannon, you, Jeremy, and I will pick the winners of the Western Conference Finals and in how many games. Once again, to recap, yesterday was game 1 for the Eastern Conference Finals. Jeremy had Miami in 7 to go to the NBA Finals over Boston. Shannon and I, Boston in 6 games. And Shannon, that makes for a very simple poll question this morning. We're also going to pose that to our listeners, who they like in the Western Conference Finals.
Yes, so the poll question today with the Mavericks and Golden State getting that series underway tonight, asking who your vote is to win the NBA Western Conference Finals. Early voting shows the Golden State Warriors 63% to the Dallas Mavericks 37%.
Ooh, not close, but that's very, very early voting. And if you want to elaborate, don't forget about that free iHeart Radio app. We've got the talkback feature. So, I mean, if you want to go, hey, it's going to be Golden State in 4, a sweep or whatever, Mavericks in 7, whatever you want to say, and you want to give us a little elaboration on that, you can do that as well. I see John Williams picking Warriors in 5. I think even if the Warriors win this series, and I know they're favored, Shannon, I don't think they do it in 5. I'm going to disagree with John Williams. I think the Mavericks at least get this to a 6th game. And if indeed the Warriors, and I'm still formulating my pick, I don't have it yet. I'll have it later in the show. But if it is Warriors in 6, that means the Warriors would have. That means the Mavericks would have had an opportunity in Game 6 if they win it to send it to a 7th game. That would mean that the Warriors would have prevailed in the Game 6 at Dallas. I got a feeling, some nights in this series, Luka Doncic is going to just be on fire and unstoppable, and there's going to be some nights when he gets the support we've talked about a lot during these playoffs that he needs, that certainly the Mavericks got in game number 7 at Phoenix. And that's another factor, Shannon. I got to believe that win at Phoenix for the Mavericks, they got to come into San Francisco, the Chase Center, to play the Warriors with just a lot of confidence. If you can win a game 7 on the road against the Phoenix Suns and destroy them the way the Mavericks did, I got to believe they believe they're road warriors now, even though they're playing the Warriors, that they can go in and steal one of these first 2 at Golden State. And if they do, series on, fasten your seatbelts, and I think we would then be in for a fun series.
Yeah, I mean, they need to keep continuing to play like their backs are against the wall. Play every game like it's a game 7, especially when you're going against the Warriors, and especially knowing, you're already a day behind in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And you just went through a 7-game series. You'd prefer not to take this one to another 7-game series when that next series would be the finals, and it could be against a team that has much fresher legs than you. So getting things done quickly is great, but like you said, the Mavericks road warriors, if that's what they want to be, they want to use some Golden State words against them, like Golden State was doing to Memphis. Go for it.
Yeah, and I was hearing somebody on national media say this yesterday, and it's true. You had the bad blood between Devin Booker and Luka Doncic, and things got testy and heated. That at the moment, going into game 1, there's no bad blood yet between the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors, but somebody, and Draymond Green is a leading candidate for this role. Somebody's going to do something in game number 1 to fuel some angst and some animosity between, it's going to be a hard foul. Something's going to happen. But I mean, as we learned from Devin Booker and, Luka Doncic, who has always been very, very good, it's almost as though, Shannon, and you watch him more than any of us because you're a Mavericks fan, it's almost like Luka has reached another gear in these playoffs. I mean, it's almost like we knew he was a star and now he's becoming a superstar. And can you be a superstar that can deliver the goods come playoff time? Draymond Green is an agitator, but I would say, agitate Luka Doncic at your own peril because you might just fire him up.
Yeah, as we were saying, don't poke the bear. He looks soft. He's not your typical, when you think like a LeBron James, just a statuesque this guy looks soft and cuddly, but you poke him and he turns around and bites you. So it's in the Warriors' best interest to not do so. But like you say, Draymond Green, you never know. It's almost, should it be a game plan of someone to be that annoying figure on the Mavs to try and get Draymond to do something that gets him a suspension early? And, I don't know. That could be a tactic.
That's not a bad idea. If there's anybody who's a hothead who can lose it on that Warriors roster, it's Draymond Green. Coming up, the high five play of the day. And if you paid attention to the world of sports last night, I think you might be able to figure out who might be getting the high five this morning. It's a really, really good one. I think you're going to like it. I know we like it. So the high five play of the day is coming up. I did mention the iHeartRadio app. It's free. You've got a talkback microphone button. You can press that. Send us a message immediately. You want to join us on the phone lines? You are always welcome to dive in with us. 800-707-9760. 8:05 this morning. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. He is our NBA playoff analyst. We'll also get his thoughts on the Spurs landing at number 9 in the NBA draft lottery last night to go with their 20th and 25th first round picks overall. So talk a lot of hoops with Bill, and Bill does have more information on his book signing, which is coming to San Antonio in early June. We'll get into that with him as well. You can join us on the live video feed. Lots of people, lots of reaction already in there. You can get to it via Facebook Live, Twitter, or YouTube. Lots going on all morning long on a Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. She's Shannon, Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok makes the whole show go. With you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Yes! Alana Miles. I love that song. That is tremendous. A new religion that will bring you to your knees.
What a line.
It's a tremendous line. And it's so it's Elvis is a religion to a lot of people. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, David, I would not rule that out, man. You think about how the Warriors and Zaza Pachulia knocked Kawhi out of that Western Conference Finals years ago, and Draymond Green is a dirty player. I would not be surprised if that happened. Lucinda Sullivan, the patron saint of coffee. Lucinda, Bill Schoening's going to join us. Oh, I might have to... Lucinda created a poster or graphic-ish. I guess it's not a poster unless it's on paper. So it's electronic. For Bill Schoening's book signing. Lucinda, I'll try to find that and post it during our interview with Bill and across our social media. I mean to do that anyway, so today's as good a day as any to do that. Let's see here. I got a message. All right, let me see who's in here as I guzzle some coffee. Welcome in, everybody. If you left a comment, I see your name. So if I don't say your name, I welcome you anyway. I see 16 people in here right now across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So Anthony Del Toro, Tracy Bogert, Steve Duraco, Hector Gomez, Ramon Rodriguez Martinez, Luisa Alanis, Clint Proctor, the Iron Man, is in here. John Williams from Dallas, Jason Paniagua, Buenos Dias, Jesse Bratton, pulling for the Mavericks, as am I. I mean, I like the Mavericks more than I don't like the Warriors. I've seen that movie too many times. Philip Longoria, welcome in. James Rippey, welcome. Ralph Balderas, David E. Avina, welcome. I think I said Jesse Bratton and Lucinda Sullivan. who's done a lot of work on the BILL SCHOENING book signing. I got to stretch a little bit so I'm not sitting for the whole darn hour. And I need to. I have to edit a spot here. So let me see how I'm going to do that. Open. So that's 4. There's number 1. I'm going to do these in order. 512-593-4303. 512-5 consultation. 512-59. So that's where it is, right? We're going to do this. And we're going to paste that there. Oh, no, wait a minute. Okay. I screwed up. I hate it when I screw up. Call QC Kinetics now. All right, take 2. Try this again. Station 5-1.
When you woke up this morning, before you knocked over your water, feeling around for your glasses, or stumbled to the bathroom to put in your contacts, stepping on
in Hollywood Park in West
toy along the way. What did you see?
Call QC Kinetics now. 210-571-0318 in Hollywood Park in Westover Hills. 210-571-0318. That's 210-571-0318.
Nationwide.
All right.
A lot of happy patients, thanks to the expert medical teams
Yes.
at LASIK Plus.
Right
LASIK
time.
with most patients back to
So
normal
now
activities
we
the next
are.
day. So don't wait. Make your mornings brighter with the help of LASIK Plus. Right now at LASIK Plus, get 20% off LASIK in May. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes. Plus guaranteed financing. Visit mylasicoffer.com. That's mylasicoffer.com. The patient's choice. Go to mylasicoffer.com for details.
No drugs, no downtime. Stop putting it off. Call QC Kinetics now and learn more about regenerative medicine and get a totally free in-office consultation. 512-593-4303. 51. Medicine and get a totally free in-office consultation. Call QC Kinetics now. 210.
All right. Close. This is 2 and it's in. All right, let me see what else we got. There you go, Ralph. A legend never screws up. They just readjust. Unfortunately, I'm not a legend, so I screw up. Cody Webb, what is up? Cody says, go Mavs. Mavs in 5. Cody, what are you smoking, man? Can you bring some by the studio? I would love it. I hope you're right, Cody. I can't imagine the Mavericks could do it in 5. But I'd be I'm sick of Golden State. I've seen the movie too many times. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr. I heard some analyst yesterday, I think it was Reggie Miller on the Dan Patrick Show, saying, we all know Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr is coach, but the supporting cast now, Reggie Miller says the supporting cast that the Warriors have now is a better supporting cast than they had when they won 73 games. Cody says Luka won't be denied. And of course, when do you want me to bring it by? Anytime, man. See, if we would just elect Beto, if only on that issue, legalization, and I'm just thinking for potential advertisers for the show. I'm thinking cannabis advertisers for this, and then we could do live remotes, live get-togethers at different cannabis locations. Hector Gomez says Golden State is the evil empire. Yep. I would agree with that. Yeah, I love Steve Kerr. I've had enough, I don't love Steph Curry like everybody else does. I think he's done a couple of punk moves over the years. I mean, he's a great player. I cannot deny that. I think he's revolutionized basketball, the NBA with the three-point shooting. So he has done a couple of punk things over the years that I thought were unnecessary. Worst of which, well, we're back from break, but when he acted like he was taking a dump on the court in the NBA Finals at Cleveland after Kevin Durant hit the game winner. Here we go.
It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
Top Gun, baby. Highway to the Danger Zone. We're coming up, the new Top Gun with Tom Cruise, where he plays like a 57-year-old fighter pilot. That's plausible, right? All right. So, Shannon, are you at all geeked up? Do any of us know when the new Tom Cruise Top Gun drops? It might be this weekend. I know it's soon. Are you Shannon? Are you a Tom Cruise person? Are you excited?
Tom Cruise doesn't get me running to the box office. I am excited. There's a guy in the movie by the name of Glenn Powell. I'm not sure whose son he plays, but I think he's playing the role of one of the original characters' sons. And Glenn Powell, a Austinite, born and raised, and a Texas Longhorn fan. So I'm excited to see him kind of really break out in this role, because I think he's been on my radar for a little bit, but this is going to be huge for him. So excited for that.
Well, I didn't realize this. I'm looking at the casting, Shannon. And by the way, what I'm looking at says Tuesday, May 24th, it's going to drop at local theaters. But Val Kilmer, who was in the original Top Gun, and Val Kilmer has had major health problems, and he's got a vocal issue now. Well, there's an incredible documentary on Val Kilmer that even if you're not a Val Kilmer fan, I highly recommend it. It's outstanding, and you don't realize how amazing Val Kilmer's life and career were. He was educated at Juilliard and just had an incredible run for a while as a superstar in Hollywood. But Val Kilmer played Iceman in the original Top Gun. I'm shocked to see Val Kilmer cast in this, because I know it's got to be difficult for him to act these days, but I think it's cool, and it makes me want to see it more. Jeremy Kolok, as I look, the running time on Top Gun Maverick, the new Top Gun movie, 2 hours and 17 minutes. If you can't tell a story in under 2 hours, You're a little bit. You're like Kevin Costner in Waterworld, and I love Kevin Costner. Don't get me wrong. Anything he does, I will watch because of Field of Dreams. But Jeremy Kolok, do you have Top Gun Maverick fever?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I feel like the hype around it is definitely adding to it for me, and I need to watch the first one again
Yes.
before I see the new one, Top Gun Maverick, and I think that will even push the excitement, the hype, and
Yeah.
I think it'll put it to a whole new level for me. So I'm on board with it. I'm all in.
I like your idea. And Shannon, speaking of watching the original Top Gun before you go see Top Gun Maverick, our friend down the hall from WOAI Radio in San Antonio, Tim Merriman, told me that he, this past weekend, watched the original Top Gun. A, he forgot how good it was. And B, he said the soundtrack. And Jeremy just played Kenny Loggins, Highway to the Danger Zone. He said the soundtrack was spectacular, and it made him think, was Top Gun, the original one, did it have the greatest movie soundtrack of all time? That is something we may have to hash out this week at some point.
For that question, I would give you Guardians of the Galaxy, but because that soundtrack was kind of so iconic, especially with Danger Zone. Looking at the soundtrack for the second movie, because of course they have to try and one up themselves. So far, we've got an original from One Republic titled "I Ain't Worried" and Lady Gaga, "Hold My Hand." But they are also reusing Kenny Loggins' "Danger Zone" and "Great Balls of Fire."
Smart to use Danger Zone again because we so associate that with Top Gun. So very, very cool. So next week, so that 24th, we're 6 days out. Next Tuesday night, it's going to drop, or Tuesday day as well, if you want to see a matinee. Top Gun Maverick. See what you did, Jeremy? You play a little music, and we go on a total Top Gun tangent. All right. Speaking of Top Guns, there were some Top Guns in a specific sport last night. They will be awarded our high five play of the day. And we might have to give out more than one high five. We might have to give out something like 5 high fives for this one. The high five play of the day is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. They basically got everything you're looking for. Big screen TVs all over the place, so you can watch all the sports you love. Great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials. All the games you can imagine to play, from bowling to laser tag, axe throwing, zombie dodgeball, and more. Get into one of the 2 High Five locations in Austin. You would have a spectacular time. Speaking of spectacular time, Shannon Salty Sweeney, somebody had a spectacular time last night to earn these high fives the morning after.
You just called them Top Guns. They were referring to themselves as the Houston Rockets last night. After the second inning, the Astros, on their way to ultimately beat the Boston Red Sox 13-4. They scored 9 in the second inning. That included not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 home runs in one inning. And to just make matters even more extraordinary, 2 of those home run balls caught by the same fan in the outfield.
Wow.
We've got the highlights for you right here.
Get you some more. That ball drilled to left field. Back goes Verdugo. He's going to watch this one go. Jordan Alvarez. It's went out the other way over the monster. Almost all his damage on the road as he drives one high to right field. This wind is going to help this one all the way back. Bradley Jr. gone. Over the Astros bullpen and right. A 2-run shot. And the Astros take a 3-1 lead. We got above the stadium and carried out of here. This ball's drilled to left field all the way back and gone. Jeremy Pena, welcome back to Fenway. Bradley drives one high and deep to right field. Has he done it? Yes. 3-run bomb. Yuli Gurriel drives one deep to left field. Number 5 on the inning. Incredible.
Wow. Wow.
Everybody gets a home run.
Oh, my God. Now,
That's
Shannon,
why you put the Astros on TV, Chris. They were on TV. At least when I was leaving the restaurant last night, I saw the game.
Thank
was already
God.
Very much out of hand. And I was like, this is why you put the Astros on TV.
Yes,
what
and by
happens.
the way, Friday night, Astros Rangers from Minute Maid Park in Houston on Apple TV Plus. But I want to mention, Shannon, the pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, Nathan Eovaldi, Eovaldi, Eovaldi. He made Major League Baseball history. He became, his name will be in the record books. He became only the third pitcher in baseball history to give up 5 home runs in 1 inning last night. All of those off the same pitcher. And here's what amazes me about that statistic, Shannon. So, all right. So you say, okay, 2 other pitchers previously had given up 5 home runs in an inning. So I thought, okay, maybe somebody in 1933 and then maybe somebody else in 1990. No, the other 2 pitchers who gave up 5 home runs, both of them in the 2000s. Michael Blazek in 2017 and Chase Anderson in 2020. So in all of baseball history, which goes back into the 1800s, there was never 5 home runs given up in 1 inning until 2017. It happened again in 2020. And Shannon, we just heard it. It happened last night at Fenway Park due to the Houston Rockets / Astros rocketing those baseballs out of Fenway Park. And I can't believe what else you said. 1 fan caught 2 of those. What are the odds on that? That dude should play the lottery. 1 fan caught 2 of those home run balls. That is nuts.
Yeah. I'm looking at this Nathan guy now. It looked like he had 8 hits on him yesterday. And I don't know if it was because it was the second inning and the Red Sox thought, oh, he'll get out of it. Look how low his pitch count is.
Oh, my God.
But do you put that on him, those 5 home runs, or do you put that on the manager for not pulling him after, I don't know, the 3rd?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you give up 3 home runs. And certainly after number 4, you say, all right, this ain't your night. But yeah,
Right.
you left him in there to get 5 home runs hit on him I agree with you. It's some pitchers, it's not their night. Crazy things happen. And I'd be angry if I were he.
To make matters worse, Mr. Nathan Edward Eovaldi, playing against the Houston Astros. He was born in Houston in 1990, so likely playing against his childhood team.
Yikes.
And I guess he wanted them to win,
Wow. And with the win, we mentioned that the night before, Boston had won that one 6-3, and Jake Odorizzi, the Astros pitcher, was injured and had a leg injury, was carted off on a stretcher. Luckily, the Astros turned things around. They win 13-4, buoyed by those 5 home runs in the second inning. Astros have now won 13 of their last 15, Shannon. They've got the second best record in the American League to the New York Yankees. They're 3 games behind the Yankees. The LA Angels lost last night. So by virtue of the Astros win and the Angels loss, Astros move back into undisputed first place in the AL West. And the Astros, that record 3 games back of the New York Yankees, they're only I think a half a game back now of the LA Dodgers, who have the best record in the National League. So as we speak, the Houston Astros, the 3rd best record in all of baseball. So at the moment, things looking very, very good for the Houston Astros.
You love to see it. Love to see it. But you said Apple Plus on Friday.
Friday, yeah, the Astros, after this series against the Red Sox, they come home where you are in Houston, open up a 4-game series against the Texas Rangers beginning tomorrow night. And the Friday night game will be on Apple TV Plus with that broadcast crew that you love so much, Shannon.
Yeah.
So.
May mute that one. Listen to the radio call.
That's always a good idea. If you like, I used to do that before I worked with Bill Schoening on Spurs broadcasts. I would do that, especially if it was a national Spurs telecast. It's like if it's Bill Land and Sean Elliott, I love them. And now they've added Michelle Beadle to local TV for the Spurs. But when it was national TV, it's like and I do that with the Cowboys. If I have a radio nearby, Brad Sham and Babe Laufenberg, because they give you more information on the home team, and I'm a Cowboys fan and a Spurs fan, than a national broadcast would. Although if it's Aikman then it's like, wow, I want to hear what Troy has to say. So I'm a freak, Shannon.
Not
what can
even
I tell you?
Romo?
What Romo too? If Romo, but Romo's CBS, so they don't have as many Cowboy games. But I no, if it were Romo, I would pick Romo over Brad Sham. But Brad Sham is up there, man. I'm just saying.
He's up there in more ways than one.
Yes. Brad, we're gonna have to Google. Brad Sham's been around forever. I mean, I go way back listening to the Cowboys on the radio. I remember Frank Gleber, who has passed away a long time ago, and Vern Lundquist. They were the two guys on the Cowboys broadcasts out of KLRD in Dallas. And then it was, I think after Gleber passed away, Vern Lundquist stayed there and brought up some young 20-something kid named Brad Sham. And, Brad Sham has kind of been there ever since. Then Lundquist left and Brad Sham owned the Cowboys broadcast. So,
yeah, he's
interesting.
72.
My God. That's crazy.
I have that he started with the Cowboys in 1976 with Vern Lundquist.
Wow. 1976.
So he started when he was really young then.
Yeah. I mean, I remember he had like longish hair and a beard, and he looked like a kid. And, Vern Lundquist was up there in age, certainly much older than Brad Sham. So very, very – it's cool when, and Bill Schoening, who's going to join us at 8:05 in beginning, I think did he do 20? This was 21. Next year will be 22 years with the Spurs for Bill Schoening. So, when a guy or a gal has been the broadcaster for that long and knows the franchise inside and out, it just, if they're good, and Bill Schoening is, and Brad Sham is, like Vern Lundquist and Chick Hearn, as featured in Winning Time, Rise of the Lakers Dynasty was, it just adds to the whole thing. Coming up, we will talk more NBA playoffs. We'll talk NFL as God intended. We just talked a little Houston Astros. We'll probably talk more Major League Baseball as well, and a whole bunch of stuff going on and off the fields of play in the world of sports. Answer our poll question or talk back to us on the iHeartRadio app. Let us know who's going to win the Western Conference Finals, Mavericks versus the Top Gun Maverick. That could be an omen for the Mavericks. It's the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Robert Browning, good morning. Ed Shannon, good morning. I might heat my coffee. It's getting to the point where it's not as hot as I would like it. Whoa, Jason! I got a witness. Jason Paniagua watched Candy on Hulu. It is quite good. All right, I am going to step aside for just a moment. Mr. Mike Taylor, there he is. Kind enough to sit in here for a moment. Back in a flash.
At LASIK Plus, we've performed over 2 million LASIK procedures nationwide and have more 5-star reviews than anyone else.
I am extremely happy with my experience at LASIK Plus. I definitely would not have gone anywhere else. Waking up in the morning is absolutely liberating now that you don't have to reach for the glasses, you don't think about them anymore. So there's absolutely no doubt that I recommend LASIK Plus to my friends and family.
There's a reason LASIK Plus is the patient's choice for LASIK. Actually, there's a ton of reasons. Did you know that the entire procedure only takes minutes and that most patients are back to normal activities the day after treatment? So don't wait. Now's the time to finally take that first step towards LASIK and score a great deal at LASIK Plus. Right now at LASIK Plus, get 20% off LASIK in May. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing. Visit mylasicoffer.com. That's mylasicoffer.com. The patient's choice for LASIK. Must mention this promotion if you treated in May of 2022 to qualify. 20% off standard price and procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to mylasicoffer.com for details.
Thank you, Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, always kind enough to sit in. Oh. I could use a coffee warmer. Currently, my coffee warmer is the microwave. Thank you, though. Yeah, I gotta find. Lucinda, you sent me the Bill Schoening poster. So now I'm trying to find it. There it is. Okay, cool. The book launch event. So, all right, let me see if I can get this up here. I'm not sure if I can get it onto the screen before this segment, but we'll see. I might get lucky. I got to jump through a couple of hoops to do that. So, Lucinda, tell me if I shouldn't post this yet. I'm assuming it's free for publication at this point. So, Tracy Bogert with a story. We'll check that out. Okay, let me... Whoops. Woo! I may get this posted in here. I shouldn't get cocky until I do it, but here it comes. I'm trying to upload it onto this platform so you can see it. And of course, we'll talk to Bill Schoening about this in just about an hour. Let's see. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, there it is. The book launch event, June 2nd, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Barn Door Restaurant, North New Braunfels, right near Loop 410 in the 09. The beautiful people live in the 09. I'm not an 09er. I'm a faux niner, but that's a whole nother story. So book signing from 4 to 5:15, and then a little show, Tales and Tunes by Bill Schoening. That will be cool. Good morning, Wes Perkins. Good morning, Robert Browning. See, Robert is about to climb Mount Fuji. Robert says, just to get you and everyone pumped up and motivated. I've upped the Fuji training regimen to 50 floors and 1,800 steps a day. It's time, baby. Robert, what's the date, man? Remind me the date of the Mount Fuji climb. I'm going to take that down so you guys can look at the info. I will tweet that out as well. June 10th through the 13th. Wow, that is very soon. So Robert, and we'll exchange information, but obviously, we would love to have you on the show before and after the attempt. So we'll talk about that. Maybe I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't know what the days are in June. See, the BILL Schooning thing is on a Thursday, I think, right? So a week, the 9th would be a Thursday. So, the 9th, the 8th, something like that. All right, here we come. We're close. All right, here we come. Okay, yeah, Robert, we'll make it the day that is most convenient for you. A weekday, of course, since we're not on the weekend. Whoops.
Now, Chris Duel.
You made it to the midpoint of the week. It is Wednesday, May 18th. The results of the NBA draft lottery are in, and the San Antonio Spurs did not get lucky, but they still got the number 9 pick. And we mentioned earlier in the show some notable number 9 picks over the years, including Dirk Nowitzki, DeMar DeRozan, Tracy McGrady, and others. You can get some really good value at number 9. That NBA draft is on June 23rd. Astros, we played you the audio. It was our high five play of the day just a few minutes ago. Astros erupt for 5 home runs in the same inning off the same pitcher in the second inning last night at Fenway Park. They decimate, destroy the Boston Red Sox 13-4. Astros have now won 13 of their last 15. They've got one more game at Fenway Park against Boston tonight. First pitch at 5:10. Then they return to Houston beginning tomorrow night for a 4-game series against the Texas Rangers. And Shannon Salty Sweeney, the Texas Rangers, I think have won 3 in a row. So all of a sudden the Rangers are playing good baseball. So that could be a very, very good series between the Astros and the Rangers. And while I am more of an Astros fan than I am a Rangers fan, you know, if the Rangers can play well, I'm looking at the standings now. Rangers have won 3 in a row. They've won 6 of their last 10. So I like it when the Rangers are playing well. I just, at Minute Maid Park this weekend, I just don't want them to play that well against the Houston Astros.
Right. Well, and when they faced each other last at the end of April, the Rangers were in a bit of a slump and came out and surprised the Astros, winning that first meetup 6-2. The Astros righted that ship shortly thereafter, winning the next 3. But don't let them surprise you. Just because the Astros are hitting homers like no one else right now doesn't mean the Rangers can't sneak up on them.
True. Astros need to keep a good thing going, winning 13 out of 15. So we talked some Astros baseball. We will talk more. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. Just letting you know what's coming. Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, going to join us in less than an hour, top of the 8 o'clock hour. He has become nice enough to have become our NBA analyst throughout these NBA playoffs. And of course, with news of the NBA draft lottery last night and the Spurs picking in the June 23rd NBA draft at number 9, number 20, and number 25. We'll certainly talk a little Spurs and draft prospects with Bill as well. Plus, we now know more information about his book signing, which will be at the Barn Door Restaurant, an iconic restaurant in San Antonio, North New Braunfels, close to Loop 410 on June 2nd. So we'll get more details from Bill Schoening on that. We'll talk all things sports with Bill Schoening. And speaking of the NBA playoffs, Shannon and Jeremy, and, you know, tonight's the big night for the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors as they'll open up the Western Conference Finals. But tonight, before that, some kind of a tiff. Shannon, you know more about this, between Mark Cuban and Lil Wayne. Apparently, Lil Wayne, not Little Wayne, Lil Wayne, not showing a lot of love for Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks on social media the last few days. What do we know about this dispute, if we can call it that, between Mark Cuban and Lil Wayne?
Yeah, and this one's going to be hard to talk about on the radio. Lil Wayne, a Phoenix Suns fan, and therefore on May 8th, tweeted, "Luka is a bleep," to which
Luka is a bleep.
I mean,
did he call him like a female dog, or what did he?
Santa Claus. I don't know if we can say that one on air, but
yeah,
in the
no, I don't want you to. I'm just trying to.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want you to say anything on the air that we shouldn't say. But okay.
But as we now
use your
know,
imagination, or go look it up yourself. Yes.
As we now know, the Mavericks ultimately beat the Suns in 7, with that final game being a beatdown. So Mark Cuban on Twitter takes Lil Wayne's tweet, quote tweets it, which means he also shares the tweet, adds a photo of Lil Wayne, as that photo was passed around quite a bit, looking very confused and concerned on the sideline during that game 7. And then used a Lil Wayne quote from a song saying, "It's a bleep show, put you front row." And there's the photo of Lil Wayne confused looking in the front row of that game 7, in which the Mavericks pulled off. And then apparently yesterday, Lil Wayne just could not let it go, because he went after and then deleted a tweet in regard to Mark Cuban that was very graphic, and I won't bother to share what that was, but it just kind of one of the more odd, and also Skip Bayless is now coming into play here, because Skip Bayless, a big Lil Weezy fan. Lil Wayne, of course, represents a couple of athletes in the NFL and I believe the NBA as well. And so he's been on Skip and Shannon's show quite a bit, and often brings the athletes, right? So I think they've built a good relationship. So Skip Bayless now kind of coming after Mark Cuban as well. Just a weird Mark Cuban, Lil Wayne. I think y'all you stay in your lanes, okay? We don't need this kind of crossover here. This isn't a feature that we've all been waiting for. Just drop it.
Now, but it sounds to me, Shannon, like, Lil Wayne is being the more vulgar and disgusting party in this little tiff. So I mean, on a certain level, I respect Mark Cuban for standing up for his franchise and standing up for Luka. So I mean, if Lil Wayne's gonna, disparage Luka and call him, something we can't say on the radio on Twitter, then I do kind of like that. Mark Cuban says, "Hey man, I'll throw it right back in your face and I'll throw some of your lyrics at you." And then, but as you describe, Lil Wayne continues to, take this to another level or escalate this after the fact.
Yeah, well, in that deleted tweet by Lil Wayne, he did threaten to slap Mark Cuban as well as do some other things to him. And you just hope for, as a Mavericks fan and Mark Cuban kind of being the bigger man here, just letting that one go and not continuing it. But today's a new day, so we'll just have to see.
In the aftermath of the Will Smith slap of Chris Rock at the Oscars, is it appropriate for Lil Wayne to threaten to slap Mark Cuban? And again, is Lil Wayne as a rapper, is he just staying on brand here? Does he want to be, kind of vulgar and in your face and relentless and just not let the bone go when it comes to this fight with Mark Cuban? I mean, are Lil Wayne fans probably loving every minute of this?
I guess Lil Wayne's an interesting guy. I mean, when I was in high school, he had all of the top charting songs. He was featured on he was everywhere you could not get away from. And then he kind of died off and now he's back in circulation, but it always seems to be with these little tiffs here and there or an athlete that he's promoting and much less about, the rapping that he does.
So Jeremy Kolok, I don't know if you're a Lil Wayne fan. I don't know if, you listen to a lot of Lil Wayne, but your thoughts on this very public dispute between Mark Cuban and Lil Wayne?
Yeah, to me, it's just kind of whatever, because I can picture Lil Wayne on sitting courtside at quite a few NBA arenas over the years. I feel like this man has switched his allegiance quite a few times, and I'm not quite sure where he gets this Phoenix Suns connection from, but because I think he's from New Orleans and he's been a Heat fan and he's a Green Bay Packers fan. And yeah, it's very random. So yeah, I see Mark Cuban taking advantage of the situation for sure. But as far as Lil Wayne's fandom, I mean, I don't even know what to expect at this point. The Suns, why? Why?
Yeah, I just, now that you said that, because I didn't know where Lil Wayne was from. He's 39 years old. He was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah, it sounds to me like he's a front runner. Sounds to me, when the Packers got hot and the Packers, other than not performing well in the playoffs, maybe there's a Lil Wayne curse. Because if he's a Packers fan, Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP for 2 years in a row and gets ousted pretty quickly in the playoffs. Lil Wayne decides to bandwagon on the 64-win, most wins in the NBA, number 1 overall seed Phoenix Suns. They get ousted in the second round a lot earlier than anybody imagined by the Dallas Mavericks. So, Shannon, not only do we have a Kardashian curse, a Sports Illustrated curse, a Madden curse, a Tony Romo and blue jersey jinx, but maybe there's a Lil Wayne curse that we're going to have to start tracking. I'm not hearing you, Shannon.
I'm looking here trying to find the relationship between the Suns. Like, does he have one of those players on his roster? I'm not seeing it. So, yeah, maybe he is jumping onto the bandwagon there, and he just picked the wrong bandwagon, it would appear. And I don't think Mark Cuban's going to let him on his wagon at this point. Chris, do you have a favorite Lil Wayne song since we are talking Lil Wayne this morning?
I have not really explored Lil Wayne's catalog in depth. Where would you suggest that I begin, Shannon, to, and just to further educate myself on the musical stylings of Lil Wayne?
I like 6 foot, 7 foot. I like the beat.
6 foot, 7 foot. And what is the message of the song 6 foot, 7 foot by Lil Wayne?
We shouldn't.
No. Okay. Well, yeah, to me, it sounds like an NBA. It's like, a guy who's 6 feet is probably playing guard, a 7-footer playing center or power forward. I was thinking maybe that's a basketball song about basketball.
Chris, it's about the music, not the message. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank you, Jerry Jones.
It's not that deep. You don't
Okay.
have to listen that hard.
So who is more of a front runner or a bandwagoner, Drake or Lil Wayne? It sounds to me like maybe Lil Wayne saw Drake at a lot of NBA games and said, "Hey man, I need to be seen as well." So I'll pick the Green Bay Packers and the Phoenix Suns.
Well, and speaking of Drake, since you brought him up in the realm of basketball, we talked about the draft last night. The Houston Rockets coming in 3rd. They will get the number 3 pick in the draft this year. They were expecting first. Their first reaction to getting that number 3 pick was asking what happened, Elon Musk, because they joked that after he bought Twitter, it would become illegal for the Rockets not to get the first pick. But they also released a photo in all caps, captioned, "We are in the top 4." And the photo is a screaming Drake, and they've put a Rockets hat on him.
Huh. That's crazy.
Are they cursing themselves?
Drake, I think Toronto Raptors. So the Rockets are co-opting Drake now? Is that what's happening?
I have no idea. It's very confusing. If anyone has a conspiracy theory out there, it's like, are they trying to reverse the curse by doing this?
Jeremy, what are the Houston Rockets thinking here?
At this point, any team can claim Drake. Maybe just he's up for grabs, and he's so versatile as a fan. He can adapt to any city, any team, any situation. Maybe it's just that's their new plan. That's their scheme here moving forward. I mean, they didn't have a great year, so that might be their scheme here. Just bring in Drake. I don't know, Chris. But Lil Wayne and Drake have, as you know, Shannon, they have connections from back in the day. They kind of like Lil Wayne kind of discovered Drake. So
yes.
I mean, they might have even had conversations about how they should, do this as far as picking the right team and making sure they're always in the winning column, it seems like. Because Lil Wayne's been on the sideline at the AT&T Center, Chris.
Really?
He goes wherever he wants. He doesn't.
Okay.
He has no allegiance.
Now, but you said, Jeremy, any team can claim Drake. Speaking of the Spurs, I'm glad the Spurs don't claim Drake or Lil Wayne. I'm just, and I think it was on the Dan Patrick show yesterday, Shannon. They were talking about celebrity fans. One of the questions they had was, what team in the NBA has the fewest celebrity fans? Yeah, and one of the names they threw out was the Oklahoma City Thunder. You don't see a lot of celebrity Oklahoma City Thunder fans. Now the Spurs, George Strait has been seen at Spurs games. The actor Tommy Lee Jones, who is delightful. If you ever meet him in person in San Antonio, he's gregarious and delightful. Not Tommy Lee Jones. Selena Gomez.
Yep.
There's a famous meme where she's, lifting up her Spurs shirt. So not, the Spurs, not rivaling the Showtime Lakers, who had Jack Nicholson and Diane Cannon and others. Oh, Jason Paniagua pointing out Eva Longoria. Yeah, Eva Longoria was such a Spurs fan, she wound up marrying one for a while. So add Eva Longoria to Spurs fans. So Shannon, it begs the question, the Dallas Mavericks tonight embarking upon Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Nobody knows the Mavericks better than you do. Are there? I don't know of any famous Mavericks fans other than Cowboys, other than like Romo or Cowboys showing up. But are there celebrities out there that go, yeah, man, I'm a Mavericks fan?
Yeah, that's a good question because I immediately thought of like Tony Romo, and then even back in the day when he would bring Jessica Simpson.
Ooh. And I don't think we should eliminate Cowboys, I mean, Cowboys are a pretty big deal.
That's a good question, though, because, Khloe Kardashian was courtside at a couple games when Lamar Odom had that very short stint. So I feel like a lot of these were just kind of people that were dragged there because of a relationship somehow. I don't think that means they don't have any. But I can't, there's not like, you think of Texas, you think of McConaughey and Will Ferrell and USC. There isn't that guy or gal that immediately comes to mind.
Which is interesting because, Dallas is such a big city. It's the home of the Cowboys. You would think there would be like that guy. You know, it was funny in LA for so many years when the Lakers were on fire and the Clippers kind of sucked. Billy Crystal was still famously like probably the most famous LA Clippers fan for all of those years. But I'm going to be very interested to see, Shannon, if somehow the Dallas Mavericks knock off the Golden State Warriors, who's going to jump on the bandwagon? You know, and I guess not Lil Wayne now because of his dispute with Mark Cuban, but you know, Drake might overnight become a Dallas Mavericks fan. If the Mavericks go to the finals against the Celtics or the Miami Heat, I'll bet you we're going to see some bandwagon fans jumping on the Mavericks, acting like they've always been fans.
Well, and I'm looking at this definitive celebrity NBA fan index, and for my Mavericks, they list Mark Cuban as number 1, which does that really count? Because
not exactly
like his, you know, that whole ownership thing.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is a big fan of the Cowboys.
Yeah, right. And the Spurs have listed Danny Trejo.
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly an A-lister. I love Danny Trejo, and he's cool, and he's got a great look. Right. But I mean, again, it's like Matthew McConaughey, Longhorns. That's a big super fan and a big name. Will Ferrell, USC Trojans. Yes, Danny Trejo. If that were the only one, and we were going, yeah, man, Danny Trejo comes to games. Yeah, we got it going on. And it's like,
I got a name for you.
Okay.
So,
do it.
And John Williams brought this up in the chat, in the live video chat. If you remember, especially during the Spurs playoff runs, Samuel L. Jackson was pretty active on Twitter showing his support for the Spurs multiple years. I mean, I don't know where that comes from, but Samuel L. Jackson, apparently a Spurs fan. And also I have a website that lists George Clooney as a Mavericks fan.
Really? Is Clooney originally from Texas?
No,
he was a celebrity
so.
child. Rosemary Clooney and his dad and his mom were Hollywood people.
You know, he's a big business guy. You know, he's got that giant, is it tequila brand? He's got the stuff with Nespresso. I feel like his business endeavors may have overlapped with Mark Cuban and that they have a relationship. Again, kind of, you know, he was kind of dragged to a Mavericks game. Not to say he didn't enjoy himself while he was there, but it doesn't feel like that was something he, you know, brought upon himself.
And even, you know, not only, city of Dallas, iconic city. You've got the Cowboys. You have the TV show Dallas in the 70s. And the fact that Mark Cuban is the owner, again, I would have thought that somebody who grew up in Texas or somebody from the Dallas area over the years would become, you know, the quintessential celebrity Dallas Mavericks fan. Yeah. And maybe it is George Clooney, but I'm not aware of it.
Post Malone, I don't know. Like, he does Cowboys stuff. He's from that area, but I haven't really seen him do Maverick stuff. It's like Dallas, you don't hear a lot of celebrity, you know, most of the celebrities that are from there, right? They move out. They don't come back. Versus Austin, where people are just relocating all the time. Yesterday, Emma Stone, our newest resident, shout out.
That's right.
Emma
Stone bought some big multi-gazillion dollar house in Austin. Welcome, Emma. Hope you're listening to the show. What do you got, Jeremy?
I got one more name for you. I got a picture of Barbara Walters on air on ABC wearing Spurs glasses, very similar to the ones you wear in this building, Chris.
Yes. I have that photo. That happened during one of the Spurs runs to the NBA Finals, I think against the Miami Heat. And I think Jeannie Jekyll posted that photo, the media columnist in the San Antonio Express News. So we got Danny Trejo and Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters. That's pretty amazing. So who would be So who would be the most impressive Spurs fan? George Strait? Do we go with George Strait? He's bigger than Tommy Lee Jones, I think.
Yeah, I would go with
I guess
Strait. Maybe Taro Kotani. I don't know.
He's the greatest international Spurs. We might have to eventually just who is the greatest fan per team in all of sports. For Lakers, I think you still have to go Jack Nicholson. When you think, even though it's been years,
iconic,
to see him. Bill Schoening has a great story about Nicholson. Once, maybe we'll get him to tell it. Once the Spurs were eliminating Kobe, Shaq, and the Lakers from the playoffs, and people were leaving. It might have still been the Fabulous Forum at that time, pre-Staples Center, and now Crypto.com Arena. But so everybody's leaving, and Bill's like, his voice is getting excited. Final minute of play. The Spurs are going to eliminate and he looks over, and apparently Jack Nicholson gave him the death look. Nicholson just, obviously.
The shining look?
Yeah, exactly. Probably it was the shining look. I got to remember, Bill Schoening at the top of the hour after 8:05. Cool. I got to have him tell us the Jack Nicholson story. So
yeah, and we'll ask him about his Spurs, celebrity.
Yeah. If anybody knows who's the biggest celebrity Spurs fan, Bill Schoening would know that because he's at all the games. So that's coming up. Also coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown within moments. Before that, how about a little sports history, sports birthdays? We've got it all going on. You can join us on the live video feed via YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Looking for your feedback and your talkback on the talkback feature on the free iHeartRadio app. Who's going to win the Western Conference Finals as well? Elliot telling us on the live video feed that Jamie Foxx is a Mavericks fan. Shannon, have you seen Jamie Foxx at any Mavericks games?
I know he's from Dallas. I know he's a Cowboys fan, so I guess by maybe association.
We might go Jamie Foxx.
I mean, now that we are in the conference finals, right, I think some of these folks will come out of the woodwork a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You'll see them spending big dollars to get front row seats, to get lots of face time in the Western Conference Finals. It's going to be very, very interesting. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. Bill Schoening at the top of the hour to talk NBA playoffs, Spurs, and we'll get his Jack Nicholson story as well. Jeremy Kolok is your Soundscape Stylist. We are with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. All right. I have to edit one more spot here. Barney Segura, welcome in. Elliot, welcome. The Jamie Foxx information is interesting. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Mike Taylor, sitting in for a moment. Thank you, Mike. Try to get the glare off of him.
Junk sleep got you down? The sleep experts at Mattress Firm can help. Get a king bed for a clean price and save up to $500 off during the best Memorial Day sale ever. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying purchase.
Woo!
Thank you, Mike Taylor.
Jason, I will have to check out that TikTok. Thank you. Yeah, I saw this morning. I hadn't been on TikTok in a while, and I saw that somebody sent me a message on TikTok, and I just assumed, it was spam or a Russian bot or something. So now it makes sense that you sent me that. Yeah, Bob Cavazos, good question, sir. Again, a little disappointed in their not getting that luck in the lottery last night, staying at number 9. But I have a good feeling they're going to draft well. Yeah, got a lot of Mavericks fans in here. A lot of people pulling for the Mavericks. Jorge, I don't care about famous people showing up as long as the Mavs win. Luca. See that. Wow, look at that. Jorge says Cowboys suck, Rangers suck. Let's go Mavs. All right, how many more of these do I need to do? We got Bill Schoening coming up at the top of the hour. Need one more, okay. James Rippey mentioning Selena Gomez and Tommy Lee Jones. Now, has Selena Gomez, is she now bigger than George Strait? Probably in some people's eyes. I still think maybe George Strait is the biggest Spurs celebrity fan. Here we are. Woo! Woo!
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Welcome in. Little, I believe, Jackson 5. Not just Michael Jackson. It is Michael Jackson, but it's a very youthful Michael Jackson. Submitted for your approval by Soundscape Stylist Jeremy Kolok. Jeremy is also our chief meteorologist. Triple-digit temperatures across much of Central and South Texas later this afternoon. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown within moments. Just after the top of the hour, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, BILL SCHOENING, going to join us. Lots to talk about the NBA playoffs with Bill, the NBA draft lottery. We got the results last night, and Bill's story about Jack Nicholson. We'll ask him. Oh, and information on Bill's book signing. We got a concrete date and time and an itinerary, I do believe, for BILL SCHOENING's book signing coming up on June 2nd at the Barn Door Restaurant in San Antonio. So we'll get into all of that with Bill and a whole lot more. Before Shannon's Salty Shakedown, how about some sports birthdays? And this day in sports history. On this day, May 18th, 1971, it was the fourth ABA championship as the Utah Stars defeated the Kentucky Colonels. The Kentucky Colonels, 4-3, 7-game series in the ABA. I love the ABA. It's where the Spurs have their roots. The red, white, and blue basketball. They were the people who came up with the three-point shot. Can you imagine basketball with no three-point shot? Didn't happen before the ABA. I'm just saying. On this day in 1990, thank you, Juice. Edmonton right wing Yari Curry sets a record for scoring in a Stanley Cup Finals game with 3 goals and 2 assists as Edmonton beats the Boston Bruins 7-2 at the Boston Garden. See, we talk hockey on this show. Finally, on this day in 2001, 101-year-old Harold Stilson becomes the oldest golfer to record a hole-in-one when he aces the 108-yard par 3 16th hole at the Deerfield Country Club in Florida. A 101-year-old man with a hole-in-one. Way to go, Harold Stilson. That was cool. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1924, sportscaster on ABC and CBS, Jack Whitaker. If you're old enough to remember Jack Whitaker, he was pretty darn good. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I remember Jack Whitaker was on the broadcast crew of Super Bowl VI when the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl over the Miami Dolphins on January 16th, 1972. I was a kid. I recorded that game with my cassette recorder. We had no DVRs, kids, but we did have cassette record. I recorded the audio of Super Bowl VI, the Cowboys' first Super Bowl win. Jack Whitaker is on it. I still have those cassette tapes. They're a gazillion years old by now. Born on this day in 1937, Baseball Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson, third baseman, 18-time Major League Baseball All-Star, World Series in 1966 and 1970, 16-time Gold Glove winner with the Baltimore Orioles. Brooks Robinson was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. Speaking of Baseball Hall of Famers, born on this day in 1946, Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, right fielder, Oakland A's, New York Yankees. Reggie Jackson, born in 1946 in Wyncote, Pennsylvania. But finally, the biggest birthday today, Shannon Salty Sweeney. You will be pleased to know that the man whose name is on a steakhouse in Austin, Texas, and tore my heart out in the national championship game, Texas versus USC, which you can see 3 times a day on the Longhorn Network. Born on this day in 1983, VY, Vince Young, born on this day, Shannon, in Houston, Texas. So you celebrate Vince Young's birthday in his hometown today, Houston, Texas. Does it make you feel all warm inside?
No, but the steak bearing his name I ate last week did. I'd like to add one more birthday to the roster.
Please.
Largest celebrity Spurs fan, George Strait, born in Poteet, Texas, on this day.
Whoa!
70 years ago. He's 70 now, Chris.
How the heck did I miss George Strait's birthday? And
Sorry,
I
I
didn't
got
know
you.
it was Poteet, the strawberry capital of Texas.
That's right.
My goodness. Thank you, Shannon. And we were at the moment, George Strait is the leader as far as Spurs celebrity fans, just a notch ahead of Selena Gomez and Tommy Lee Jones. There you have it. All right, it is time. That's your sports birthday and sports history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins, and monkeys, here it is, your midweek salty shakedown.
It's another big week in the world of golf with another major up for grabs. The PGA Championship taking place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kind of an odd spot. When I think Oklahoma, I don't think plush green fairways, and yet they're there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This coming after the Masters. Tiger Woods has been doing practice rounds. Phil Mickelson has pulled out, so he won't be in the field of play, but a guy that we've come to know and love, Justin Thomas, of course, will be involved, and he is not very happy right now with the PGA Championship and their beer prices because, as we know, the Masters, it's hard to get into, it's very exclusive, but once you're there, everything is very affordable from the sandwiches to the $5 beers. Well, the PGA Championship said, no, we're going to be like Dell Match Play. We're going to gouge these people, right? They've already paid the highest gas prices ever to get themselves here on top of the tickets. Let's gouge them once they're trapped inside our gates. Let's charge $6 for water. Let's charge $16 for a salad. Let's charge $3 for a bag of chips. And Chris, for a can of beer, let's charge at minimum $18 for a beer. That's right. You can get a cocktail with a souvenir cup for $19. A beer is going to run you $18. Now, they are the 25-ounce cans, but still, when the Masters are doing that, can you not? You have so much, and some people just go because they just want to see great golf. They want to see, and they bring their kids. Let these people live. If it's gonna take having the smaller cans available so people don't have to spend that much money on beer, just do it. I don't get it, Chris. Justin Thomas, so upset. He said $18 for beer. What? Gotta treat the fans better than that. So Justin Thomas, a guy who understands value and understands the value of a dollar, even though he's got millions of them. He's speaking up for the people. Chris, I went to Dell Match Play and decided against getting any adult beverages because they were so expensive. But I don't know. Have you ever been to a golf tournament? What's your max budget? Because it's one thing, I guess, if you're going to be there all day, but also if you're going to be there all day, $19 a pop, that's gonna add up.
Well, and so many times, and I remember the last high profile event I went to was this NCAA tournament, the regional that was played here at the AT&T Center. And beers weren't $18, but they were something, like $10. It was something high. But as a fan, those of us who drink beer or drink adult beverages, it kind of goes with it. It's like beer goes with pizza, beer goes with Mexican food, beer goes with sports. I thank goodness for Justin Thomas, because he could have just, gone with the program. And as you mentioned, he's a millionaire. Doesn't hurt him. He's out there playing. He doesn't care or doesn't have to care.
He's not drinking it either.
Yes. So, I hope more and more golfers in this case speak up and say, come on, you're gouging the fans. And I got to believe that these golfers, and he does, appreciate the fans. And they're already, as you say, Shannon, forking over a ton of money just to be in place.
And that's something I appreciate about Chris Del Conte. They do that happy hour on Bevo Boulevard prior to kickoffs, which brings the price of beer down. But even in the stadium, they're those tall boy versions of the cans, and they'll run you, anywhere from $8 to $10 depending on what you get. And it still feels expensive, but because you are getting double. But here they're like, oh, you're getting double, so we're just gonna really amp up the charge. Not cool, PGA. Not cool. So
Nope.
we'll see if they make any changes before the weekend gets underway, or if that's something that they'll have to look at later on down the road. Chris, it's becoming summer very quickly. It's so hot, especially here in Houston with the humidity. But summer brings great blockbuster hits and streaming services, unlike cable television, which just puts on every single kind of game show you could ever imagine, hosted by every D-list celebrity. The streaming services, they go hard. They put out their best hits. And although we're not going to be getting it this summer, next summer, you can look forward to the greatest roast of all time that will, yes, have Tom Brady sitting in a roast chair being roasted by his celebrity friends, maybe even his wife, Giselle. It was announced yesterday that Netflix will be producing this come next offseason for Tom Brady. And who knows, maybe he will actually be retired at that point. Now, a lot of people are probably familiar with the Comedy Central roast. These are very similar. They did one with the Jonas Brothers, and it was a little more loose. And they had some like weird performances in the middle of them that were roasts. John Legend, I think, performed a song randomly that roasted the Jonas Brothers. So they could go all over the place with Tom Brady. But the question I want from you, give me 3 people you'd like to see on that roast panel for Tom Brady.
I was thinking about one when you were telling us about this, Shannon. Top of the list, Bill Belichick. They got to get Belichick coming out, delivering one-liners
Say
and
more
zingers.
than 5 words at a time.
Yeah, he's got to deliver one-liners and zingers to Tom Brady. Gosh, who else do we? Bruce Arians, who, you know, we wonder whether or not he's got a negative relationship with Tom Brady now. And I either Chris Rock or Will Smith. Maybe now. Shannon, Lucinda Sullivan got a great one. I'm going to steal her. She just said Peyton Manning. A guy who is funny, is a quarterback, was a contemporary, had a bit of a rivalry. So I think Peyton Manning's a great choice for this.
I think the Gronk will be there because he's Gronk, and obviously he's always played with Peyton. I think another quarterback who loves to be on TV and loves to cause controversy, and he loves to take digs at Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, I like that one too.
But yeah,
wow.
As we know, he's got plenty of celebrity friends stateside, internationally. So it'll be interesting to see who they round up to roast Tom Brady. Again, they're calling that a groast, the greatest roast.
That's tremendous.
Time in Tom Brady. Again, that isn't going to come out until next year. And finally, today, Chris, Jeremy sent this to me this morning, and he was right. You're not going to bring it up because you're too humble. You're too gracious. But the San Antonio Express News has done an article on our very own Chris Duel that came out this morning entitled Ticket 760 Sports Talk host Chris Duel is San Antonio radio's stand-up guy. They shed great light on you, Chris. They talk a little bit about your story. They shout out our show, which is amazing. But congrats to you on being a headliner. I always knew you would be. But any thoughts? I mean, how did this work? How did they interview you? I know there was someone in there taking photos of you earlier this week as we were doing the show. But you're a newspaper man today.
First of all, shocker. Secondly, I saw that a few minutes ago and I tried to click on it and I hit the paywall. I am an Express News subscriber, but I hit the paywall. I don't know what my credentials are to view, so I haven't even read it. So I don't even.
Jeremy can send it to you. I had him copy and paste it.
I wasn't gonna mention it until I read it because I thought, what if he goes, Chris Duel is just a big loser and he's a little bit too loud. So apparently, and again, the reporter Rich Marini, who is a tremendous Express News reporter, sat down with me for like an hour and a half and like asked me all these questions about my life, which was confronting. But I've seen Rich's work for years. He's a great reporter. So whenever I do read it, hopefully it's not that embarrassing. But my thanks to Rich Marini, a great reporter in the Express News, for being this kind and to give a little love to this show. So that's a cool thing. So as soon as I get past the paywall, I'll be able to read it.
Yes. Again, that's the Express News. They tweeted it out about an hour and a half ago, so get that. I'm as if, is this going to be front page on the physical newspaper? I mean, I think
have
it should
no
be.
idea. Yeah, I don't think it will be front page. Maybe they'll stick it in the back of the lifestyle section after the television listings. I don't know.
Now, do you still get a physical paper?
I do. I'm an old
Okay.
man. I'm old school. In fact, I got one here somewhere. I could pull out of my bag with the sports page this morning. But yeah, I'm still. I like to hold it in my hand. I like to fold it. I like, and when I'm looking at stuff we might talk about on the show, with my pen I circle stuff and highlight it. So yeah, I'm a total freak and apparently an old man. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I think my parents still get it, but I've never signed up to get a paper. I'm pretty much digital. But for the people who are responsible for delivering those papers, I see you. I see you. I literally see you when I'm driving to work. So I feel for you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that is a rough, thankless job. People delivering that newspaper first thing, and the only time that people hear from someone is if they miss a, if you didn't get your newspaper and you're a newspaper subscriber, you're calling the newspaper to complain, and I'm sure the paper deliverer hears about it, and you can't be. There's no Tom Brady of newspaper deliverers who is the GOAT and perfect. So that can't be an easy job.
Well, go check out the article on Chris. Give the Express all of the clicks. If you get a physical copy of the paper, take a picture of the article, send it to us on Twitter, tag us, and let us know that you've read it. That is today's Salty Shakedown.
Thank you, Shannon. I didn't see that one coming, and you are too kind. And again, I saw the link. And it's like, I can't really repost this or talk about it because I can't read it.
I'll do it for you. It's fine. Jeremy found it this morning and sent it to me. And as I said, he I hope they're not listening, but he copied and pasted it for me in the email so that I could read it.
Very nice.
Paywall.
Nothing gets past Jeremy. So yeah. And again, I just don't know what my login credentials are to read it. Coming up, BILL SCHOENING, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. Lots of ground to cover with BILL SCHOENING, not only the NBA playoffs, but we'll talk about the Spurs position, number 9 overall in the NBA draft lottery that was completed last night. Bill's Jack Nicholson story, as we've been talking about celebrity fans of NBA teams. And we have news on Bill's book signing, which is coming up June 2nd at the Barn Door Restaurant in San Antonio. So that should be all kinds of fun. Always enjoy our visits with BILL SCHOENING. That's coming up next. We'll talk more NBA playoffs, NFL as God intended, and a whole lot more. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris Duel, along with Jeremy Kolok. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Thank you, Bill Brendel. Yeah, I haven't read it yet. So I will read it soon. Okay, I have to edit one more spot. Okay, I got to do this one more time. So I need. Okay, I did 1, 2, and 4. So I need number 3. Okay, let's see. Okay.
When flying insects show up in
It's
your
right
home,
there.
How did you get rid of them? Purposely clapping every single one? Aimlessly swatting at your doors. Hanging fly strips in your living room? Ew.
512-593-4303.
Zebo uses light.
Location 512-593-4303. 512-5
So you don't have to. Zebo.
in office consultation. 51.
It's right there.
consultation. Call QC Kinetics now.
Save as. 3.
That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing. So book your free consultation with the experts in LASIK and visit LASIK.com. That's LASIK.com. Amazing vision, amazing price. Let's mention this promotion for treating April 2024.
Welcome in, Juan. Yeah, we talked a lot of Astros earlier in the show. Bill Schoening joining us in a moment. Good morning, Beth Settle. I was worried about you, Beth Settle. Didn't see you in here. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Let's see. Bill Schoening coming up. All right. See where we are here. Yeah, Louisa, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. When was I there? From 1979 to 1981. many moons ago. Bill Schoening coming up. All right. Where's my Bill Schoening photo? Well, first of all, here's Bill's book signing information. And in a moment, I'll post the Bill Schoening photo. Jeremy is calling Bill Schoening. Here we come. I've got to go mute for a second for our evil Facebook overlords. Here we come. Cool. Thank you, sir.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is midweek. It is Wednesday, May 18th. We got a lot going on in the world of sports and a lot going on in the NBA, including the results of the NBA draft lottery last night. We know where the Spurs and everyone else will pick in the upcoming June 23rd NBA draft. We had game number 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals last night. The Miami Heat defeated the Boston Celtics 118-107 to take a 1-0 lead in that series. Tonight, it's game 1 between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. from San Francisco, our go-to guy on all things NBA, on all things Spurs, is author and broadcaster, voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, and we will have information on his upcoming book signing coming up in San Antonio. Bill Schoening, how are you doing this morning?
Very good, Chris. Very good to be with you. Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. I have it scheduled. It is in my calendar. I know that this is the time that we spend a little time talking basketball and other stuff.
Well, and we love it, Bill. And you're so kind. In the off season, you could say, "Hey, man, I'm getting away from basketball and radio," but not you. I mean, you're out there doing play-by-play of baseball games. You were in the recording studio last night doing music. You're a madman. But I got to ask you this out of the gate, Bill, because we were talking earlier about celebrity NBA fans, and we're like going team by team. And for the Spurs, we came up with George Strait, Selena Gomez, Tommy Lee Jones. But of course, maybe the biggest celebrity fan ever has got to be Jack Nicholson of the LA Lakers. And I was telling Shannon, and I didn't remember the specifics, so I'm going to ask you the specifics, but there was a moment when you were broadcasting Spurs Lakers, I believe in the playoffs, and you locked eyes with Jack Nicholson. And as I recall, he was not exactly gregarious at that moment. Do you remember that Jack Nicholson story?
Yeah, but we didn't exactly lock eyes because he always wears those shades. Right? So it was impossible to lock eyes with him. But I know his eyes were rolling because 2003 Western Conference semifinals, the Lakers had won 3 championships in a row, and the Spurs beat them in Game 6, and really a beatdown. 110-82 was the final of that game, and that was the final game of the Lakers dynasty, really, when you think about it, at least for that era, the Shaq-Kobe era. And because it was so quiet at the Staples Center, the only person that was loud in there was me, because I was yelling at the top of my lungs about the Spurs not winning the championship, but knocking off the 3-time defending champions. And I know that Jack could hear every word I was saying because I was literally 5 feet from him. And he was just kind of looking over, and I'm not sure if he was looking at me or through me. Shades on. He had that intimidation look, you know. And it's funny because earlier in the game, he was all over the official Mark Wunderlich. And at halftime, Chris, I heard Mark Wunderlich tell one of the security guys, one of the head of security guys, this guy in the red coats, you know, at Staples Center. And it's like the Gestapo. You can't get anywhere with those red coat guys. But anyway, Mark Wunderlich, I heard him telling the official, I don't care how many Oscars he's won, I'm going to throw him out if I keep hearing from him. So I didn't hear much from Jack in the second half. Of course, the Spurs had pulled away for a very comfortable lead in the second half of that game. So there really wasn't too much for Jack to say at that point. But he did stay till the end, and he had to hear me yelling at the top of my lungs about the Spurs knocking the Lakers off. But, yeah, that's a moment I'll always remember, being within earshot of Jack Nicholson.
Well, Bill, I'm not sure how much you've paid attention to the off-court drama during the playoffs, but Mark Cuban and Lil Wayne now in a little tiff after Lil Wayne was captured looking stunned on the Phoenix sidelines during that Game 7. They've been going back and forth on Twitter for the past couple of days, so it spurred the question this morning on the show, who are some of the biggest celebrities for each team in the NBA? And I think Chris and I have agreed upon George Strait for the Spurs, but where do you stand on the biggest celebrity at a Spurs or as a Spurs fan? And what celebrities have you seen that have maybe surprised you throughout your time calling games there?
For the Spurs, you mean?
Yes.
You're talking about Spurs fans? Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't quite sure where you're going with that. You mentioned George Strait, of course. During the playoffs, we've seen George. And now there's a fairly obscure singer-songwriter named Bruce Robinson. And I say he's fairly obscure because a lot of different country artists have recorded his songs. So he's more of a songwriter. I knew him as a singer-songwriter in Austin, but he is a huge Spurs fan. He's from Bandera, and he lives up in Austin now. But I saw him courtside at a game, and he was with his brother Charlie, who's also a singer-songwriter, and Robert Earl Keen came by.
Ooh.
Robert Earl, of course, big country guy who went to Texas A&M, is originally from Houston, but I know Robert's not a big sports fan, so I don't think he might necessarily be a Spurs fan, but the Robinson brothers are, because they're from Bandera, and I think Bruce actually played basketball. Now, I know that's not a big name. That's not Jack Nicholson and the big-time celebrities you're going to see at some of these locations like in L.A., but I really don't think too much about the celebrities. Now, when you're at L.A., when you're at the Staples Center, you can't help it because they're everywhere. You just, there's Sylvester Stallone. There's Denzel Washington. There's Diane Cannon. And Diane Cannon, by the way, I think, Chris, I've told you this story. She makes special brownies for the people on press row.
Ooh.
Yeah, special California
special?
brownies made by Diane Cannon. Yeah, so I don't know what she puts in them, but everybody seems to like them.
Well, and now that certain substances are legal in Southern California or in California, Bill, you may want to be careful with the Diane Cannon brownies before a broadcast. He's the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. Bill, speaking of the Spurs, we found out last night the Spurs' position in the NBA draft lottery. I know Spurs fans were hoping for some more magic to move up the ladder, but they did wind up in position number 9 in the upcoming June 23rd NBA draft. 3 first-round draft positions for the Spurs, 9, 20, and 25. How are you feeling about the prospects for the Spurs in the upcoming NBA draft?
I think it's awesome. I think we're all pulling for the Spurs to draft a little bit higher than number 9, hoping that they'd get a little lucky there, and they didn't. But at the same time, you think about the fact that they've got this salary cap flexibility coming into this offseason. They've got 3 first-round picks. They got flexibility with those picks, too. They can move them around, maybe try to package if they wanted to, or maybe use all 3 picks to try to build this roster with this young nucleus and young core they've already got. So we'll see what they want to do. Other teams obviously will be interested in some of those picks, and maybe they have certain players earmarked they'd like to talk to the Spurs about, maybe switching spots or whatever. So we'll see. But they should get a very good player at number 9. I was listening to Jay Billis last night, who I respect a great deal, the former Duke star, who, of course, is a college basketball analyst. And he knows these guys, a lot of the college players, not necessarily some of the international players, but he's really up on the college players. He says it's a really deep draft. So the Spurs should be able to get some pretty good players in the first round, even with that number 25 pick.
Well, and the Houston Rockets land at number 3. They, of course, were really hoping for the number 1 pick. In this year's draft, do you see much of a difference since there's 3 kind of bigger name guys compared to the rest of the field, a difference between that 1, 2, and 3 slot? Or do you feel like that 3 pick for them is ultimately a win regardless?
Well, I think that all the analysts, and again, I don't watch that much college basketball, to be very honest with you, so I'm not really familiar with these prospects. The top guys, obviously, everybody knows. But as far as the depth of this draft is concerned, I have to rely on what these guys say that watch a lot of college basketball, that do a lot of research on this. We'll learn more about these players in the coming weeks as the Spurs start to bring guys in for workouts and those sorts of things. But I think that from what I understand, this is a very deep draft. Now, those top 3 guys that everybody's talking about, they'll be the guys that will probably go the top 3. And Jabari Smith and Holmgren, of course, and the young man Banchero from Duke. But I understand that there's a lot of talent that might be unrefined. So, it's always a deal with prospects that you're kind of looking at them in the future, projecting them what they might be able to do down the line. More than what they're necessarily doing right now, especially these young guys that are only, 19 years old.
Bill Schoening, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, with us. Bill, moving to the action on the court. Last night, the Miami Heat win Game 1 of their Eastern Conference final against the Boston Celtics, 118-107. Any surprise there for you? Shannon and I, before this series, said Boston in 6. Jeremy said Miami in 7. It kind of went, they held serve, and it's probably going to be a long series, but Miami certainly impressive last night.
Yes, a big blow right before the game for Boston was the loss of Al Horford due to health and safety protocols. And his status for Game 2, very much up in the air. Usually with these protocol situations, it takes a couple of days to get cleared. So that's very tough. They also missed the defense last night of Marcus Smart. who's one of the tough defenders in the NBA. And I think that really hurt them at the defensive side of the floor. So it's really hard to gauge game one because those two guys were missing. Of course, Kyle Lowry was out for Miami, but Gabe Vincent really stepped up and played very well for them. I like Miami in the series. I think Boston is a good, tough defensive team, but they need those guys. I think they really need both Horford and Smart to play in this series if they're going to have a chance to win this series.
Tonight, the Western Conference Finals start between the Warriors and the Mavericks. Both teams had a pretty contentious series prior to, with the Warriors facing the Grizzlies and what became, a bit of a trading match as far as digs are concerned. And then Devin Booker of the Suns poking the bear and Luka Doncic, and ultimately the Mavericks winning that one. How do you see this matchup going here between the Warriors and the Mavericks?
I think it's going to be a really good series. I think it's going to be a long series. I think the depth of the Warriors, if they're completely healthy, of course, they've been kind of banged up throughout the course of the year, playing with different combinations, different lineups. But I believe Otto Porter is back for them. That'll be big for them. I think Andre Iguodala will be back after missing some time. So if those two guys can play, that gives them more wing defenders on Doncic. They can give Luka a lot of different looks. And I think Doncic is still going to be able to get his points, but can they make it a more inefficient performance by him? If he's shooting 48, 50%, that's a really good news for Dallas. But if they can get out on him and really force some bad shots and some turnovers, and the Warriors are capable of doing that with their a plethora of wing defenders, I think they're going to give Doncic a lot of different looks. We're going to see Draymond Green on him. We might see Iguodala. As I mentioned, they're going to try to change up defenses. Steve Kerr likes to do that. Mike Brown, of course, who's headed off to the Sacramento Kings, is known as a good defensive coach. So I'm sure they're going to come up with a game plan. So it may very well be, Shannon, coming down to what other guys do other than Doncic. Can Spencer Dinwiddie score 20? Can Jalen Brunson get 25? Can they get some more offense from some of their bench players? Can Dallas Bertans come in and hit a couple of threes off the bench? All of these different factors will play into how this series comes out. I just think the Warriors are a little deeper. They've got the home court advantage. They've got a lot of playoff experience. And even though, I'll be honest with you, I'll be pulling for the Mavericks, but I think the Warriors have the edge in the series.
I'm glad to hear you say, Bill, you're pulling for the Mavericks. I am too. I especially Luka. I like Luka a lot. But when I say that here on the radio, I hear from some Spurs fans. It's apparently Spurs blasphemy to pull for the Mavericks. But I'm kind of that way, Bill. When the Spurs are no longer involved in the playoffs, obviously I'm an insane hardcore Spurs fan. But yeah, I pull for the Texas teams, and the Mavericks. What's not to like about Luka? And I think it's okay. So I'm glad you kind of absolve me, Bill. You as the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. If you're pulling for the Mavericks, I'm not such a bad guy pulling for the Mavericks in this series.
The other thing, too, is I've got personal relationships with some people in the Dallas organization. Chuck Cooperstein is the longtime play-by-play guy of the Mavs, and the play-by-play guys around the league, you get to know them very well, and you share information with them. And I've known Chuck since he was doing TCU and I was doing Sam Houston State. That goes back a ways now, guys. That was back in the day. I've known Chuck Cooperstein for a long time, so I'm pulling for him. Mark Fallowell, their TV guy, I know very well. There's certain people in the organization you get to know, and you got to pull for them a little bit. Now, I'll say this, and even though Chuck is a good friend of mine, I was pulling for Phoenix in the previous series because Al McCoy, play-by-play guy for the Suns, in his 49th or 50th year, whatever it is, he's close to 90 years old, still going strong. I was pulling for him because he's never gotten a ring all these years, and he's been the voice, I think, since 72 of the Phoenix Suns. Garfield Hurd, for goodness sake.
Oh, yeah.
He called that series at Boston Garden way back when. So I was kind of pulling for him because of the fact that he hasn't gotten a championship yet. And, of course, he was very close last year, and they lost the 4 games in the finals there at the end. So I'm hoping that, now Dallas knocks off Golden State. And I'm really looking for that other series as well. I was kind of pulling for Boston because of Ime Udoka. But, again, I think Miami's going to win that series, although I'm pulling for the other team.
Bill, I'm spending a couple weeks here in Houston. I know you spent plenty of time traveling to Houston to cover the Spurs versus the Rockets. Any hot spots that are on your list that I should add to mine? Because I haven't gotten out much, but I'm taking recommendations.
Oh, wow. Well, we usually stay downtown, and there's a place called The Grove, and and there's an area around there. It's not too far from the ballpark. You're going to go see the Astros play at any point in time. And I like that ballpark, by the way. I'm so happy that we got rid of these cookie-cutter baseball, football stadiums, and now ballparks are coming back. And Minute Maid certainly is one of those. It's got unique little quirks. So, yeah, that whole area downtown is pretty cool in Houston. So I like the area of the Grove. There's some different shops and stores around there and a pretty good restaurant there.
He is the voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening. And Bill, talking about places to go, there's going to be a place to go in San Antonio coming up on June 2nd. We've talked about it. Your new book, Stories, Sports, and Songs, Tales and Tunes by a Play-by-Play Lifer. People love your book. I got the book. I know a lot of people who have the book, but not everybody has a signed copy of the book. You've got a book launch event coming up pretty soon, and it's at a pretty darn iconic San Antonio eatery. Can you tell us about that?
The Barn Door, June 2nd. New Barn Door is just inside Loop on New Braunfels. And it's going to be Thursday, June 2nd. It's going to be kind of a happy hour deal. It's going to be real casual, indoors, air conditioning. And we're going to go 4 to 6 with just a meet and greet and some book signing. And then from about 5:15 to 6, I'll tell some stories. My good buddy Mike Vasquez is going to play guitar for me, and he's going to come up and we're going to do a few songs. And it'll just be a fun time. It really just kind of a hangout type deal. There'll be a bar, not an open bar. You got to pay for your drink. But we'll have a lot of fun, and I'm understanding now that the negotiations are going very well to secure the Master of Ceremonies duties for one Chris Duel. We had to kind of adjust our budget a little bit to afford such a big name to come in, but I think it's all going to be worth it in the end.
Yeah, hopefully that name won't turn people away. But Bill, I love that you chose the Barn Door. When I was a kid, when I was like 7. My family, I was the youngest of 5 kids, and whenever it was like a big event, whenever, like one of my siblings like did something great in school or graduated or something, the big family reward was to go eat a steak at the Barn Door restaurant. That place has been around, and at the time, Bill, it was the wilderness. It was out in a field, and now that's just inside Loop 410 on North New Braunfels, and it's urban now. There's housing, and there's not a whole lot of wilderness around it anymore. But I have childhood memories of the Barn Door restaurant. I'm really excited that you chose that location. I think it's cool.
Chris, you've got so many recollections of your early days in San Antonio, going back to your Hemisphere and early Spurs days, and that story that you just told there about the Barn Door. I think it might be time to talk Chris Duel into writing a book.
Who knows? It might be. You've got. I don't have the depth of all the fun stories you have. Mine is more. My anger at certain opposing basketball players. The Dallas Cowboys blue jersey jinx. My swearing uncontrollably when Tony Romo would throw interceptions. I don't know if it would be as positive as your book, Bill.
Well, I try to keep it positive, Chris. How about your stories of your stand-up routine and your stand-up days back in California, right? Didn't you do a little stand-up for a while?
Did a little stand-up for a while, and then thanks to your friend and mine, the late, great Andrew Ashwood, who gave me my job in radio, it gave me another avenue. So I always thank Andrew Ashwood for pulling me out of what some nights were some very, very difficult stand-up comedy experiences.
Well, that's one of the things that I always wanted to do, like for a little while, way backup plan. If sports doesn't work out, if music doesn't work out, if being a disc jockey doesn't work out, at the very end, it was going to be stand-up comedy. So maybe we should do a show together, Chris. You would do a stand-up show together one night. Not at the Barn Door.
We'll work on it some other time. Absolutely. Well, Bill, again, and I have the artwork for the book launch event up on our live video, and we'll tweet this out and put it on Facebook, and we'll spread the word. But just to remind everybody, that's June 2nd. coming up. I believe that's a Thursday night. And the entire event from 4 to 6, book signing, meet and greet at 4. And as Bill mentions, he's going to take the stage with Tales and Tunes from 5:15 to 6, which should be a lot of fun. Bill, I look forward to it. It's going to be so much fun. And again, as somebody who has the book, I can't recommend it highly enough. Come on out, see Bill, get the book, get it autographed. Should be a lot of fun, Bill, on June 2nd. We look forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, too. And thanks for having me, guys. And Shannon, good luck to your Mavericks in this series.
Thank you. So we're going to need it.
All right. Bill, enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk again next week, man. Thanks so much.
All right, Chris. Thank you.
All right. The voice of the San Antonio Spurs, Bill Schoening, June 2nd, Barn Door Restaurant, 4 to 6. Come on out and see him. It's going to be a lot and very unique, not just the book signing, but Tales and Tunes, because he's a singer-songwriter as well. Coming up, we will dive back into the National Football League, talk about tonight's game. Ooh, we got to make predictions for Golden State Warriors and Dallas Mavericks. We will predict the series, who will win the Western Conference Finals, and in how many games. That and a whole lot more. We are with you till 9. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Jeremy Kolok makes the show go. It's the Chris Duel Show. Fred, I should have asked him that. Usually at a book signing, I imagine he will. Usually at a book signing, the author has books that you can buy and get signed, because a lot of people will show up at a book signing and not have the book with them. But I'll find that out, Fred, and certainly next week. That I should have asked that question here. Had I seen that, I would have. But I will definitely ask Bill that question next week. But I would say I'm 90+% sure he'll have books there. But the only thing concerning there is, if he has a huge turnout, does he bring a lot of books? Does he bring it? So you might have to, if you want a book, I would imagine get there early, if it's the case that he's going to have them. In fact, I might. I'll text him right now and ask him that question. I think it's a good question. All right, I just texted Bill. We'll see if he gets back with me before the show ends. Now I got to send an email. Let's see. This one's going to. And
your kids and pets. What are these ingredients you can't pronounce? Rusted whales. Bother the bugs, not your family. Check bugs' biological systems, so Zevo kills bugs. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people friendly. Bug deadly. now at a store near you.
All right, I got to make sure I get this right. So those are Austin. Okay, got those right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now,
Jump sleep up to down? The sleep experts at Mattress Firm can help. Get a king bed for a queen price and save up to $500 off during the best Memorial Day sale ever. Plus, get free online purchase.
this computer. All right, so I need June San Antonio. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? You know what, John Williams? That's a really good idea, man. We might look into that, especially right in front of the book signing. That's I like that idea a lot. David, I have, but we haven't talked a lot of USFL. The Houston Gamblers are not doing as well as I hoped they would. But, maybe we will, maybe tomorrow we'll talk more USFL. Just, with the NBA playoffs and the lottery and there's been so much going on. But, the Houston Gamblers are 1-4. I don't like that. Birmingham Stallions, the undefeated team at 5-0. The other 1-4 team, Michigan Panthers, and the Pittsburgh Maulers. I think Pittsburgh just got their first win last week. So I was hoping the Houston Gamblers would be a little more successful. Here we come.
Back Duel Show, Shannon Salty Sweeney.
It was a beautiful day. Sunday day. I had the radio on. I was.
See, Tom Petty had the radio on when he was running down a dream. You got the radio on, so hope you're running down your dream like Tom Petty did. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney, Jeremy Kolok, your Soundscape Stylist. Jeremy Kolok so far has the bragging rights among us for the moment. He picked yesterday, before the series began, he picked the Miami Heat to defeat the Boston Celtics in 7 games. As we just discussed with Bill Schoening, Heat win game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 118-107. Shannon had Celtics in 6. I had Celtics in 6. And Shannon, before we talk about the Western Conference Finals, which get underway tonight between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks, are you at all concerned now that the Heat seem to, in that second half, really dominate the Boston Celtics and cruise to a double-digit victory? If you could do a do-over, would you revise your pick in that series?
I don't think so. I think the circumstances played a lot to do with that game. I mean, I sent you guys the original announcement of Al Horford and Marcus Smart being out for that game, and I thought that would, honestly, I thought it would hurt the Celtics more than it ultimately did, because obviously that first half was very much in the Celtics' hands. It didn't really seem to get to them until that third quarter when everything just kind of fell apart for that team. So I think once they're back in the mix, it'll be a lot harder for the Heat to get one over on the Celtics, especially when they do end up being at home. Because you imagine a Celtics fan during the regular season, but as the playoffs progress, they become worse and worse. And here we are in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to take it to a next level.
Well, and again, Shannon, health and safety protocols for Al Horford. Yes. There's a lot of people out there who say COVID is over, and no, it's not, and it's still killing people. Actually, I think we're right at kind of I think the 1 million mark of American deaths to the coronavirus, which is absolutely horrible and tragic. But even for an athlete, and the vast majority of them, they're in great physical shape. They're young, so it's not necessarily as deadly as it is for someone who might be in a high-risk group or older. It's amazing, Shannon, and for all sports. Right now it's the NBA playoffs, it's the NHL playoffs, but I mean, think of superstars. Think of if Luka Doncic had to go into health and safety protocol, or Steph Curry, and Al Horford's kind of a big deal. He's not Jason Tatum, right, but he's a big part of what the Celtics do. And if the Celtics wind up losing this series, maybe in 7 games, as Jeremy predicted, and are without Al Horford for 3 of those losses, I mean, they may look back on this and they may feel, we got beat by the coronavirus in this situation.
Yeah, and also, just TV alone, you mentioned, what if a superstar gets knocked out? Well, what if they didn't have these protocols in place and, a whole team gets knocked out? We saw a baseball game between the Cleveland Guardians suspended last week due to health and safety and just not playing that game at all. The NBA Finals set to start on June 2nd with an end date of June 19th, should it go that long. So they've already got everything in place as far as TV times and channels and advertisements. The NBA is not going to risk ruining that by skipping out on health and safety protocols that they've been abiding by throughout the entire season.
Well, I just, when you said June 2nd for the start of the NBA Finals, that's the Bill Schoening book signing. What a day that's going to be. You can get your
Huge.
book signed by Bill Schoening, have some
Watch party.
cocktails, hear some music, and then go watch the NBA Finals Game 1. That's wild. I didn't realize the finals began on June 2nd. So, Jeremy, before we move on to the Western Conference Finals, which begin tonight, just your thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals. Anything surprise you? Did Miami, you picked them to win the series? What was it easier for the Heat than you expected last night as you checked that game out?
Well, like y'all mentioned, it certainly helps when the opponent is missing the defensive player of the year in Marcus Smart, and then one of their most important players in Al Horford. I want to throw a name at y'all to watch, because I feel like we talked about the Spurs earlier and how good they are at finding talent and obscure talent, it almost seems. And the Miami Heat are really good at that too. And they have these guys named Max Strus and Cody Martin and Duncan Robinson back in the day when nobody had ever heard of him.
Yeah.
They're so good at plugging those players into their system and getting quality time out of them. But Max Strus is the name that I want you to watch, because in 2019, the Celtics waived Max Strus so they could keep Taco Fall on the roster, who's also no longer on the roster. So the Celtics let Max Strus go for free, and now he's facing them in the conference finals this year.
That's a great storyline. That is. Thank you for that. That's going to be fun to follow. Max Strus, will he exact revenge on the Boston Celtics who gave up on him? You did mention Duncan Robinson. If there was ever a guy who should have been a Spur, I still hope someday, and maybe this offseason, Spurs make a deal. Even Ed Shannon on our live video feed. I've said that to Bill Schoening on the Spurs broadcast. I want Duncan Robinson to be a Spur, and I want a photo of Duncan Robinson in the middle and Tim Duncan on the left and David Robinson on the right. It's like the next generation of Spurs, Duncan Robinson. I'm just saying. And we're going to have to go find a guy named like Gervin Ginobili after that, if there's. Thank you very much. All right, Shannon. We'll start with Jeremy, since he is the leader in the clubhouse as far as prophecy for these conference finals. Tonight, as you know, Jeremy, Shannon's Dallas Mavericks in San Francisco at the new Chase Center, taking on the Golden State Warriors. So far, you're nailing your predictions. Who do you like in this series, and in how many games?
Well, I'm going to stay consistent here and say this series will also go to 7 games.
Whoa.
And I think the Golden State Warriors are going to need their home court advantage to win this series.
Golden State in 7. And again, usually when a series goes 7 games, that typically goes to the home team. Although the Dallas Mavericks said, hold our beer in that last series, where the 7th game was in Phoenix, and they won that game 7 on the road at Phoenix. By the way, the game tonight is okay. It's my internet just screwed up. 8:00 tonight on TNT. Just got it back. 8:00 tonight on TNT. Warriors hosting the Mavericks at the Chase Center. Shannon, again, you keep saying we're just happy to be here.
That's right.
You're not going all delusional or dogmatic on your Dallas Mavericks like I probably would if the Spurs were in this round. So how do you see this series playing out?
Happy to be here. I'm glad we made it this far. I take no pleasure in this, but I've got Warriors in 5.
Wow. You have no confidence in your Dallas Mavericks.
I have enough
I'm
that we
shocked.
get a surprise in there.
Wow. Golden State in 5.
know.
And that is your team, the Dallas Mavericks. My goodness. All right. Jeremy's got Golden State in 7. Shannon's got Golden State in 5. It is probably the kiss of death, Shannon, because I am delusional. I love long shots. I love Rocky Balboa taking on Apollo Creed, and ultimately in the second fight, finding a way to win. If the Dallas Mavericks win this series, I can't imagine they would win a second Game 7 on the road. That is too much to ask. I'm going to believe there's going to be some stumbles for the Golden State Warriors. Shannon, I am picking your Dallas Mavericks in 6, closing out this series in a game number 6 on their home floor in the American Airlines Center. So I am opposing you and Jeremy. Jeremy has Golden State in 7. You've got Golden State in 5. I got to go Dallas Mavericks in 6.
All right.
Kiss of death, probably.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Should have let you go first.
I know. Yeah. But so plus, I mean, I'm getting the feeling that this, and I meant to ask Bill Schoening this, and we talked about it earlier. Luka Doncic seems to be, he's always been great, but in these playoffs, he seems to be just taking all of his play to another level. And he's almost unstoppable. And as you've said many times, he plays at his own pace. He doesn't seem to hurry, but he always takes care of business, gets the shot, gets the rebound, gets the assist. He seems to always be flirting with a triple-double. He's always putting up big numbers. And I got to hope and believe that Jason Kidd and the Mavericks are figuring out, and I hope they go back and look at what they did to Phoenix in that game number 6 when they destroyed, 7, the game 7 at Phoenix where they destroyed the Suns. And I hope they find a way. And I'm hoping that Draymond Green does something really stupid tonight. I hope he gets a double T, starts a fight, gets thrown out. I hope he gets a flagrant 2 and has to sit out a game. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out tonight.
When you mentioned Draymond, and he was one of the guys that predicted the Mavs would be victorious coming out of the Suns. So I think you start to wonder, does he already have beef that he's like, I want to get some revenge? I mean, what in his mind was, yeah, that's the team that I want to see come out on the other side. That's the team I want to end up playing. Should they make it through as well? Because now we're getting what his heart desired.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's a great point. And again, I think he relishes his role as an agitator and an enforcer and a troublemaker. But the refs, especially in these playoffs, he may be a marked man as far as the referees are concerned. So certainly Draymond Green, somebody to watch tonight and throughout this series. So once again, to recap, Jeremy, Golden State in 7. Shannon, a shocking Golden State in 5, and me, a kiss of death for the Mavericks. But I do believe the Mavericks will prevail in 6 to beat the Golden State Warriors. All right, Shannon, a story we didn't get to, which was absolutely crazy, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. A former running back for the Chicago Bears who was injury prone as a Bear. He had a very good rookie year. I think about 3 years with the Bears. They just released him. Was it March of 2021 or was it 2022? Anyway, Tariq Cohen, not a household name, but an NFL running back who made some noise with the Chicago Bears. Tariq Cohen trying to get back into playing shape. And Shannon, like so many people, took to social media to kind of promote himself. We've seen Colin Kaepernick doing some workouts on video and on social media. So probably wanted some NFL teams to be able to see, what kind of great shape he's getting himself into. An interesting day yesterday for free agent and former Chicago Bears running back Tariq Cohen. Tell us about that.
So I think the reason why this story really blew up yesterday, not just the fact that the injury took place while he was videoing an Instagram live, so it was live for all to see, ultimately ended up being a ruptured Achilles. But last week on May 10th, he took to the Players Tribune and his letter to his younger self was released. Now, this letter he had written, I believe, earlier in April. And the letter was about how he grew up, how he had a single mother who had 3 boys, and that it was a struggle, and there were drugs, and there were, lots of hardships that people like you and I just never could even imagine. And on top of that, he had a brother who was seriously injured in an accident. He talked about all these hardships, and he talked about how he kept telling them, just stay on the straight path. I'm going to get to the NFL. I'm going to be able to afford us a life that we want to live. Just stick with me. And how hard that was with him being gone in college and then him being gone in the NFL, that he wasn't able to be around to look after his brothers. And he had one brother pass. And if you go through and read this entire article, at the end of the article, there's an editor's note about how after he had written the article, his other brother passed as well. I believe his mom is also gone. So just the hardships of all of that and him trying to get back into the league because he was great before that other injury. But his story, if you want to read that again, it's on the Players Tribune, a letter to his younger self, Tariq Cohen. So in seeing this Instagram live, it was heartbreaking that he just can't get over that hump.
You got to feel for him. So, but go check that out on the Players Tribune. Our thanks to Bill Schoening. By the way, somebody asked on the live video feed, will Bill have books you can purchase at that June 2nd event at the Barn Door Restaurant? Yes. He will have autographed books for $20. Anyway, we'll talk. That's June 2nd. We'll talk more with Bill about that as it approaches. Our thanks to Bill Schoening. Shannon, you shocked me with your pick. Jeremy, Golden State in 7. Shannon, Golden State in 5. I've got the Dallas Mavericks in 6. We'll talk all about it tomorrow and anything else that pops in the world of sports. Adios, amigos. Thank you, Louisa. All right, y'all. Thank you, Pablo, Cody, Ed, anybody else who's still in here. Beth Settle, hope you're feeling better. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.